Ferret pre-start, but quick discussion. So distributor, rotor, points condenser in here. Condenser was changed, points are reset. For the amount of miles, I've never had any problems with them wearing or anything else. All the leads are stainless steel inside this braided hose, and that's for RF suppression as much as anything. And they were all brand new stainless steel leads that I've manufactured and put in there. Engine oil filler, written on the top. Okay, don't do what somebody did, which is thinking that's where the coolant went and they filled it up. Someone, not me. Then we had to drain it all out. That was someone else's Ferret. Oil dipstick, it's here. Got marks on it, as long as it's between top and bottom. When you check the oil or fill the oil, you have to do it after it's been run and it's hot. So as long as it's got oil to start, run it up, then stop it, then check it, and makes it a true level. Just in here is the oil filter housing. Big nut or bolt on top releases that. You drop it out, it's a felt filter. Wash it out, about 10 litres of petrol, put it back. Water pump greasing point in here. This water pump was only changed 6 months ago, so it's all been greased. There's a line here which goes down to the main seal, and that's for fording. So you fill that full of grease just to keep water out of the seal area. And your fan belts, yes, it's got three grooves, but only 2 we use. It's leased by the Australian Army, and pretty standard other components around hoses and things like that underneath. Alright, this side, cooling system, cap off, coolant in there. I'm running coolant at the moment with this new radiator. See how that goes. You can see down in here the fan belt's coming down to the generator. So the generator has got a 2-speed mechanical gearbox in it, and you can hear it changing gears when you run it. The Army said if you haven't run it for 30 days, there's no oil inside it, so it's oil fed from the engine. So you take out this little brass plug. Don't drop it because you'll never get it back. And our favourite syringe, full syringe of oil into that box, and it just drains out of the bottom back into the engine oil system. Once again, your Ferret, you do what you like, but the gearbox in this is just like a clock. And I had it apart to have a look at it, and it's a thing of beauty, but when they go wrong, you end up with all steel through the engine. So I always err on the side of caution and pre-oil it if I haven't started it for 30 days. Also on the side of the engine, got thermostat housing there. It's got a new thermostat in it. It's the coil assembly in there. You take it off and you can see normal coil components. Oil cooler, don't lean on that because all these fins bend. You can probably see in my original photos that was completely flat, and that's many hours of my life making that look like that. Carburetor, as expected, air horn, and goes around to the air filter. And here's an electrical junction box, and that has the ballast resistors for the coil, but also the oil pressure switch is hiding in the bottom of that. Fuel fill. So this is a saddle tank. You've got a strainer in there which you can lift out. You want to see how much fuel's in there. Obviously it's a pretty reasonable amount at the moment. And all things take all care when working near it. There's quite a bit in the book about not using petroleum-based degreasers anywhere in the engine bay, because there's too much that can soak it up, and then you could have possibility of a fire. One thing I have added is an expansion tank for coolant. So up on top here, the radiator's under the armour. It's got a release valve, and it's just designed to spit the water out when it gets too hot. They all do. So I put just an overflow tank in there. So that pipe comes from the relief valve on the radiator to that tank. And then if you look on the outside, you can see where that's the actual release point. So it's not uncommon. You're running up and down hills. They'll definitely get to their own level of how much coolant or water they want in there. Just seems to be the way they are. The hatches on a Ferret are very treacherous for fingers, and I'll show from the inside as well. You can close it from the outside by knocking that like that, gently lowering it down. It won't fall, it's all fine. Always make sure that stays in that position, so now it can't fall. But never ever let anyone lean on these hatches, just for the fear of it closing and chopping a thumb off or a finger off. When you're on the inside, this is very close to this edge. If you have your fingers out a little bit, you can actually close between the handle and that lip, and it's called ferret thumb or ferret finger. And it'll take your fingernail, bust it, and the end of your finger as well if you're not careful. So hatches are like my number one concern when I'm driving it or I have people around it.